It's 2 a.m., and there's a tiny bomb going off in the back of your mouth. A toothache. That deep, pulsing, radioactive pain that makes it impossible to think about anything else. But here's the thing, you're fine. Tomorrow, you'll call a dentist, get a numbing injection you barely feel, and in 20 minutes, the problem is gone. Now delete all of that. No dentist, no painkillers, no injections, nothing. Just you, the pain, and a world made of stone. That was reality for 99% of human history. So what did ancient humans actually do when a tooth turned against them? Just suffer? Well, the answer is stranger than you think, because ancient humans had dentists 9,000 years ago with drills made of stone. And that's not even the most surprising part. The most surprising part is this. Your ancient ancestors almost never needed them. When scientists examine the teeth of ancient hunter-gatherers, they keep finding something that shouldn't be possible. The teeth are nearly perfect. No toothbrush, no toothpaste, no floss, not one dental appointment in an entire lifetime. And yet, in some ancient populations, only about 2% of teeth have cavities. 2%. Today, in the age of electric toothbrushes and fluoride and dentists on every corner, more than 90% of adults have had cavities. Read that again. The people with zero dental care had better teeth than you. So the real question isn't how ancient humans fixed their teeth, it's what went wrong with ours. The answer is on your plate. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans ate meat, roots, nuts, and wild plants. Tough, fibrous, chewy food that scrubbed teeth clean while you ate and left almost nothing behind for bacteria. Because here's the secret, the bacteria in your mouth don't eat your teeth. They eat sugar and starch, and then they produce acid, and the acid eats your teeth. No sugar, no starch, no acid, no cavities. It's that simple. Ancient mouths were simply a terrible place for bacteria to make a living. And there's a bonus. All that hard chewing, from childhood on, gave ancient humans wide, powerful jaws. Jaws with room for every tooth. That's right. Wisdom teeth weren't a problem for most of human history. They just fit. The impacted wisdom tooth, the crowded smile, the braces. Those are largely modern inventions, caused by soft, modern food and jaws that never got the workout they were built for. Then about 12,000 years ago, humans made the biggest trade in history. We invented farming, and we started eating wheat, barley, and rice. Soft, starchy, sticky carbohydrates, meal after meal, every single day. For the bacteria in the human mouth, this was paradise arriving overnight. And you can see the disaster in the bones. The moment a population starts farming, the skeletons change. Cavities multiply, abscesses appear, teeth rot. Some early farming villages show 1 in every 2 people with tooth decay. The toothache, that thing that feels as old as time, is mostly a side effect of civilization. We invented bread, and bread invented the dentist, because now humans had a problem. A rotting tooth in a world without medicine. And a rotting tooth isn't just pain. An untreated abscess can push infection into your jaw, your bloodstream, even your brain. Before antibiotics, a bad tooth could genuinely kill you. So ancient people did the only thing humans ever do with an unbearable problem. They got creative. In the 1990s, archaeologists digging at a place called Mehrgarh in Pakistan found a graveyard 9,000 years old. And when they looked closely at the teeth of the dead, they froze. 11 teeth had tiny, perfectly round holes drilled into them. Not decoration, not damage. Drilled. With a flint-tipped drill spun with a bow, like the tool used to start fires. The holes were precise, some of them on back teeth, deep inside the mouth, in exactly the spots where decay strikes. And the edges of the holes were smoothed by years of chewing, which means one thing. These people were alive when it happened. They sat down, held still, and let another human drill into a living, screaming nerve with a piece of sharpened stone. No anesthesia. 9,000 years ago, in a village of farmers, there was someone whose job was fixing teeth, the world's first dentist. And it gets better. In Slovenia, scientists found a 6,500-year-old jawbone with a cracked tooth, and inside the crack, someone had carefully packed a filling, made of beeswax. Soft, moldable, slightly antiseptic beeswax, pressed into the crack to seal it and calm the pain. A filling 4,000 years before ancient Rome. Even earlier, 14,000 years ago in Italy, a young man had a rotten molar, and someone scraped the infected pulp out of it with a tiny flint blade. The oldest known dental operation on Earth. Stone Age root canal. But what about the pain? Here's where it gets almost unbelievable. Neanderthals 50,000 years ago were already self-medicating. Scientists analyzed the hardened plaque on the teeth of a Neanderthal from a cave in Spain. He had a painful dental abscess, and trapped in his plaque, they found traces of poplar, a plant containing salicylic acid. the natural version of the active ingredient in aspirin. He was chewing painkillers. They also found traces of a mold on his teeth, from the same family of fungus that gives us penicillin. 50,000 years before antibiotics, a Neanderthal with an infected mouth was somehow dosing himself with nature's pharmacy. Later, humans added their own remedies. Willow bark for pain, again, natural aspirin, and cloves pressed against the aching tooth. That one wasn't superstition either. Cloves contain eugenol, a real anesthetic so effective that dentists still use it today. When your dentist's office has that strange, spicy smell, that's eugenol. That's a remedy your ancestors discovered by desperately chewing plants in the dark. Of course, not every idea was a good one. For thousands of years, nearly every civilization on Earth, from Babylon to Egypt to medieval Europe, agreed on what caused toothaches, a tiny worm living inside your tooth, gnawing its way through. The tooth worm. It's in clay tablets 4,000 years old. And the cures for the tooth worm were exactly as pleasant as you'd imagine. Smoke the worm out with burning seeds. Fill the mouth with honey to lure it. And when nothing worked, there was always the last resort. Extraction, no numbing, no injection, just a pair of iron pliers, a strong assistant to hold your head, and a very long minute. People genuinely wrote wills before major tooth extractions. That was the deal for thousands of years. The cure was allowed to be worse than the disease because the disease could kill you. So let's put it all together. Ancient humans mostly didn't need dentists because their food kept their teeth clean and their jaws strong. Then farming filled our mouths with starch, our teeth started rotting, and humans fought back with stone drills, beeswax fillings, aspirin bark, clove oil, and pure, unfiltered courage. Which brings us back to you. 2 a.m. jaw throbbing, phone in hand, booking a dentist appointment and dreading it. Feeling a little pathetic about how much you fear that chair. But maybe don't be so hard on yourself. That fear is an inheritance. It was earned by 10,000 years of ancestors who faced the same pain with a flint drill and someone holding their shoulders down. And the next time you're in that chair, numb, comfortable, scrolling your phone, while a professional painlessly fixes a problem that once killed kings, remember the person at Mergar 9,000 years ago. They sat down, they opened their mouth, and they let the drill come. No numbing, no guarantees, just trust and the hope of one quiet night without pain. Your toothache has an ancient history. You're just the first generation lucky enough to sleep through the ending.